This afternoon to make a brief contribution in support of the Hospitals Foundations Bill 2018, and needless to say, this is a non-contentious piece of legislation that is similar to the Hospital Bill, Foundations Bill 2017, which was introduced by the former Minister for Health and Ambulance Services in August of 2017, and considered by the former committee, I might add, in report number 46. That bill, of course, has been noted by a number of members in the House here this afternoon, lapsed with the Parliament, the 55th Parliament, being dissolved on 29th of October last year. Mr Acting Speaker, as has been outlined, the bill here before us has two key policy objectives. One is to replace and repeal the Hospital Foundations Act 1982 with a more streamlined and contemporary legislative framework. So, in layman terms, Mr Acting Speaker, we're bringing our hospital foundations into the 21st century. There's also the second objective here that shouldn't be lost on members, and that is to amend the Drugs Misuse Act 1986 to enable appropriate, and I stress appropriate, further development of the industrial cannabis industry following that national decision to allow low tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, hemp seed and seed products to be sold as food. I'm very proud, Mr Acting Speaker, of the work of the Mackay Foundation, one of those 13 across the state of Queensland that do such great work for our community, those foundations right across the great state of Queensland. And I want to be remiss of me this afternoon, Mr Acting Speaker, not to acknowledge the board of the Mackay Foundation, and that includes the chairman, Peter Tate. Now, Peter, I don't want to embarrass Peter, but Peter comes from a very respected family in our city, the city that I represent in this place. He's the grandson of S.H. Tate, who started that local accounting firm, S.H. Tate & Co. in 1924. And Peter has selflessly given a lot of time and resources to some very, very charitable organisations over many years, and members of his family before him. George Street Neighbourhood Centre comes to mind, the Mines Rescue, people, and on it goes. And under Peter's leadership, the Mackay Hospital Foundation board has gone from strength to strength in a very short period of time. I'd also like to acknowledge Annabelle Dolphin, the Deputy Chair, Robin Nikolsky, Antoinette Morton, Margaret Birch, Professor Pierre Villian, Jill Grant, Terry Johnson and Tim Mulheron, of course, former long-serving member for Mackay in this place, who is the Hospital and Health Board representative. I might add that although Mr Mulheron, Mr Acting Speaker, came from the other side of the political divide, I've always had great respect for Mr Mulheron and his family. In fact, my late mother cared for the former member for Mackay when he was a baby. I wasn't aware of that until a number of years ago, before I came into this place. I remember him saying to me that was the story when we caught up at Beef Australia some years ago. And he's always been very courteous since he's been in that role as chairman of the board. But the Hospital Foundation Board has done a tremendous job. I just looked at some numbers before, Mr Acting Speaker, in terms of their fundraising capacity. And the Mackay Whitsunday community, and I might make the point here, Mr Speaker, this is not just about the Mackay-based hospital. This is about the hospital and health services across the greatest place, or the greatest part in the greatest state and the greatest nation on earth, the Mackay Whitsunday region, and that's the Mackay-based hospital and other hospitals, including the Proserpine Hospital in my electorate of Whitsunday. Many people, of course, who live in my electorate of Whitsunday go to the Mackay-based hospital for important services, specialist services, and that we're very grateful for. And I might add, that came on the back of a public campaign to basically rebuild the Mackay-based hospital years ago. It came at the cost of selling the airport. We've moved on from that. We haven't forgotten. But I want to pay tribute today to David Fisher, the former editor of the Daily Mercury, who really led the campaign when he was in charge of our regional daily newspaper, which is not famous for campaigning for a lot, but under David Fisher, he made sure he drew a line in the sand and forged a very good campaign there to deliver a great outcome, a lasting legacy for people in Claremont, Cannonvale, Carmilla, Collinsville. As colourful as that might sound, those communities and many others benefit from the base hospital and also the work of the Mackay Hospital Foundation Board. We've been a very benevolent community across Mackay and the Whitsundays for a long time. Our region built on the spirit of private enterprise, going back to the early days of cattle and, of course, cane, tourism, and on it goes. And people, Mr Acting Speaker, have been very giving, including to the Hospital Foundation. I just looked at some numbers before. Revenue in the 2016-17 report for Mackay Foundation up to almost $1.6 million. Fundraising at $43,000. Grants and donations $1.3 million. Just to give you a snapshot, Mr Acting Speaker, there was one bequest in the 16-17 year for the Mackay Foundation of $950,000. So we punch way above our weight. This is only across 3 local government areas: the Mackay local government area, the Whitsunday local government area and the Isaac local government area. But these are very impressive statistics, and they're recognised by people, the good people that run organisations like the Humpty Dumpty Foundation and Variety, because they've been willing to say, you know what, they're doing a good job in Mackay, we need some extra equipment, and so they've been very forthcoming in putting up money for vital medical projects and equipment. And I might add that under Mr Tate's leadership as Deputy Chair, in his latest report for 16-17, he said that vital medical equipment had increased in terms of investment by 15%. So I'm very proud of the work of the board, but also the 130 strong volunteers. It's really impressive when you walk in there with my colleagues. I know that we've had the member for Surfers Paradise there in a previous life, Mr Acting Speaker, going in there and seeing the work and the community-mindedness of those volunteers, those 130 strong army, that purple army that are there to greet people and to help people. Many people from out of town who come to the Mackay-based hospital. That Hospital Foundation Board does a tremendous amount of work indeed. I just want to sum up, Mr Acting Speaker, by saying that the work of the Hospital Foundation Boards across Queensland is terrific, 13 of them, of course, and I am a bit biased, but we do a terrific job in Mackay. Of course, it's the chief fundraising body for the Mackay Hospital and Health Service, but it would be remiss of me as I conclude by not acknowledging some of the other community partners across Mackay and the Whitsundays, including the Lions Club of Mackay, Woolworths, Triple M, the good people from Southern Cross Austereo, my former colleagues Jay and Dave from Triple M, and the boys there with their Give Me 5 campaign for kids. It's synonymous with a number of the regional MPs in the House here today with the Southern Cross Austereo radio network in providing those extras for sick kids, not only at the Mackay Base Hospital but also at the Proserpine Hospital. We're certainly no stranger to the Proserpine Hospital. Does an important job across the greater Whitsundays. No childbirthing these days in the Bowen Hospital, so a lot of expectant mums come to Proserpine for that. Once-in-a-lifetime experience for some. It's something that it does cause concern for some parents that they can't have babies in Bowen. It's been documented before in this House, but the work that is done does terrific work for our hospitals in both Mackay and the Whitsundays, including the Proserpine Hospital. As I said, Mr Acting Speaker, this is a non-contentious piece of legislation. There's a little bit of history to it, and as I said, in summing up, it basically brings our hospital foundations into the 21st century, and I commend the bill to the House.